Broadly speaking, property that can be touched or handled can be stolen. So things like cash and personal property. But what about land? The general rule is that land cannot be stolen. However, cultivated plants can. So you can't just go digging up your neighbour's plants in their front garden, as that would be theft. But what you can do is go wild mushroom picking, and that will not be classed as theft unless you pick and collect them for commercial gain. So in other words, you go out and you pick some wild mushrooms. At that point, no theft. However, when you offer to sell those mushrooms at a market, for example, then that would be. So now we know that land generally can't be stolen, but cultivated plants can, and wild mushrooms can if you then go on to sell it for commercial gain. What about animals? So here's two lovely pictures of my dog Bella. Animals belonging to someone, whether tamed or not, can be stolen. So as cute as Bella is, you can't steal her, I'm afraid, as that would be theft. But this does not apply to wild animals, so fish and birds, unless they are kept in captivity. Property under Section 5 shall be regarded as belonging to any person having possession or control of it or having in it any proprietary right or interest. Possession in general terms means having the right to use the property as one's own without having a legal title of ownership, like a rented television or a council house. The rented television is in the possession of the individual who has it in their house, and the council house is in possession of who lives there. However, the legal ownership of the television remains with the rental company, and the legal ownership of the house remains with the local council. Possession can be actual, so that means you can actually have the item in your hand or in your pocket, or it can be constructive, so where that item is in your living room at home whilst you are 20 miles away. Control means the power to manipulate property without legal title or possession. For example, the dispatcher of a parcel delivery company will have control of the distribution of the parcels without actually owning or possessing them. Proprietary right or interest was looked at in the case of R versus Turner number 2. The defendant in this case took his car to a service station for repairs. When he went to pick it up, he saw that the car was left outside with the key in it, so he decided to take it home without paying for the repairs. He was liable for the theft of his own car since the car was regarded as belonging to the service station. The service station had a proprietary right or interest in that car. Under Section 6, subsection 1, a person is treated as having the necessary intention if they treat the property as their own, regardless of the owner's rights. I'm about to go through different situations and I want you to decide whether that would amount to an intention to permanently deprive or not. So I'm going to display a scenario, pause the video, write down your answer and then click play to hear the correct answer. The first scenario is someone keeping the property. Correct, that would amount to an intention to permanently deprive. What about burning it? And you're correct again, yes, that would amount to an intention to permanently deprive. But what about selling it or offering to sell it? Yes, that would be too. What about eating it? Yes, correct. That does amount to an intention to permanently deprive too. What about using a season ticket for Chelsea, the best football team, until after the season ends, and then once it's ended, that's when you decide to return it back to the original owner. Yes, correct. That still would amount to an intention to permanently deprive. There's no further use to that season ticket. The owner can't use it now. It's at the end. So yes, that doesn't amount to an intention to permanently deprive that person of it till there's no use left. What about throwing it away? Yes, that would amount to an intention to permanently deprive. What about borrowing a Blackstone's book from the library and returning it after 14 days? In this example, it wouldn't amount to an intention to permanently deprive, as you never had an intention to keep it. Your intention was to always return it. And the last example is someone is in a cinema. They decide to put their hand in a handbag, having a look around for a purse, but they only find a lipstick and a pen. So they decide to put the lipstick and the pen back inside the bag and walk away. This wouldn't be an example of someone with an intention to permanently deprive. This relates to a case of R versus Eason. In this case, it involved a defendant who picked up a handbag in a cinema, searched through it, didn't find anything worth stealing, so he put the handbag back. His conviction for theft was quashed, as at no point did he intend to deprive the owner of the lipstick or pen. He put them back. There was no intention to permanently deprive. As an intention to permanently deprive is one of the elements you need to prove theft. Once there's no element, so there's no intention to permanently deprive, there can be no theft. He should have been actually charged with an attempt to steal all or any contents of the bag. So we've had a look at the points to prove for theft. You have to show that someone dishonestly appropriates property belonging to another with the intention to permanently deprive. If one of those elements are missing, there is no theft. Don't forget to make some revision notes on Section 1 theft. You will need to bring these into your next face-to-face lesson because we're going to work through different scenarios together in groups. In terms of your revision notes, they can be in whatever format works best for you. Some find doing a poster helpful or using revision cards. Alternatively, you may prefer to work online because you prefer to type instead of write. There's a link on the slide for a free tool where you can create your own revision cards online. Hopefully all of you should recognise this book, as this is something that you all should have a copy of. Please read Blackstone's chapter 16, page 368 to 370. There is also a link to eLaw Resources, which is a really good website that helps explain theft further. I'll pop the link to that as well as the online revision card tool in the description of the YouTube video, but also I'll pop it in your learning materials as well as the discussion forum. If you have any questions, please write it on the discussion forum titled Section 1 Theft Act 1968 on Blackboard. You've got a screenshot of what it looks like on the slide. You'll also find some frequently asked questions on the Blackboard where you might want to have a look first to see if it's already been answered. Please make sure that you're confident with the points to prove for the face-to-face lesson. Thanks for listening.